sitting at whiskey in a fashionable midnight resort on Sixth Avenue. Peary should have been at home and in bed. Almost any layman could have told him that he was gravely ill. He was a dime novel specter, and the flesh had drawn back on his bones till they began to stand out in sharp angles. The inference of an outsider would have been that he was another of the victims which the life in fashionable midnight resorts sometimes demands. But inferences made by outsiders show their wit and not their knowledge. The only person present who really knew what was James Shell. But he would not have admitted this even to Peary. There was a look of disgust in his face while he watched the sick man reach feebly for his glass. "It's a wonder you wouldn't take a bracer. You've been belly aching around these joints for the last 2 months, and I'm getting tired of looking at you. I want to mooch to the other side. Anyone'd think that the copper had hit you with a baseball bat the way you play the baby act. He just give you a love tap with his mace, that's all."
"A couple of love taps like that'd put out my light then and there," Peary answered wearily. "I'm a sick man, Shell."
"Sick nothing. Why the devil don't you stay at home if you're sick? You've been following me about for the last 8 weeks like a cur pup. I never asked you to. Stay to home and nurse yourself if you're so knocked up. I'm agreeable. I'm getting bully tired of hearing you whine. You don't need to be afraid of me. I ain't going to knock against you. Nobody'll ever find out from me that you and that flatty couldn't hit it off together. I can keep as dead about that as you can, and I ain't going to do you out of the dough either. You'll get all that's coming to you when we get to London. It's banked there, and half of it is yourn. But I give it to you straight. I'm going to give you the chilly mitt if you don't stop dogging me round all these joints."
"You give me the chilly mitt?"
Peary sat upright in his chair with an obvious effort. The hand of death was upon the man really, but he had his grit with him. "That's what I said. You're all right when you want to be, but I won't stand for any more of this shadowing me about, see? What I think is you're bughouse." Merely to acknowledge that he was sick was a confession which, in the circumstances, it had cost Peary more than Shell realized to make. To sit at a table with a man whom he had looked upon as his pal and hear that he was bughouse was a challenge which even his weakened state could not keep from accepting.
"Take that, you duffer,"
he hissed between his teeth and threw his beer glass with all his might at Shell's head. The fight was over before the attendants could interfere. Shell tried to throw Peary to the floor, and Peary sent a bullet through his heart. His light went out without a flicker. 3. A man lay dying in the hospital ward of prison. Captain Brigstock, of precinct, sat beside his couch.
"Get through the croak all right, ain't I? Brace me up a bit, Cap. Thanks."
"That's what they call it, Perry."
"Well, Cap, I might as well tell you now as later. You got the wrong bloke in that Hooper business. Slifer didn't do Hooper. Give me some more of that dope there, quick. I'm dying. Lord, it's a dirty job to die. Me too, I die bad. That's why I'm telling you."
The stimulant revived him for a moment.
"Say, Cap, me and Shell, you listening? Put it on paper, Blookie. I'm getting kind of weak in my tubes. Got the pencil there. Me and Shell, we croaked. Getting it down? We croaked Hooper. Me in front with a billy when his helmet dropped off, and him behind with a knife. That stuff in the papers was rot. And Shell, I put his light out, damn it. He tried to do me out of the dough. That's why I'm here. See?"
His mind was wandering. Brigstock's pencil paused, and Brigstock himself took it for a sign of some special care of Providence for him that Peary's confession had been made to no one else. What kind of Providence would naturally choose him out to care for, and whether in highest heaven or deepest the other place, he had not leisure at the moment to inquire. "Where's the dough planted?" he asked. The sick man's eyelids fluttered open, but with no recognition of Captain Brigstock or of his question. There was a great light of anger and pain in the eyes, and the lips drew back from the strong, discolored teeth.
You give me the chili mitt,
he almost shouted, half rising in bed.
Take that, you duffer.
And he flung himself bodily on Captain Brigstock. It was quite true. Peary died bad. That evening, Brigstock, in his lodgings, meditated afresh on the special care of Providence. At the end of his meditations, which he had assisted by striding up and down the room, he knelt by the open fire and tore out and burned certain leaves from his notebook. The night of New Year's Day, some 10 months after the murder of Patrolman Hooper, Howard Slipher sat in his cell in prison and talked through the bars of the cell door with his death watch. The evidence given at the time of his indictment had been repeated with additions at the time of his trial, and among those additions, the confession of Francis Peary was not found. "You'll hear what I'm telling you, Jackson," Slipher said that night. "I ain't turning soft and kicking about going to the chair, not me. It's up to me to sit in it, that's straight. And I've done enough to deserve croaking 10 times over. But, Jackson, it ain't up to me to stand for the killing of Hooper. I didn't do it. Of course, the evidence don't look that way, and they think that they've got me dead to rights, but that just shows how bughouse some of the things in this world are. Jackson, if Hooper could get up out of his grave now, he'd say Slipher didn't do it. I don't mind croaking for anything I done, but I hate like hell to croak for something I didn't." End of Found Guilty by Josiah Flint Willard and Alfred Hodder.